long-suffering person who's impaired. Hi everybody, I'm Suzette Standring, and thanks for another episode on It's All Right with Suzette, where we spend half an hour talking about the craft of writing with a special guest writer. And today we have a wonderful guest, Stephen Cardoza, who is a doctor of Chinese medicine, which involves acupuncture, Qigong, and Chinese herbs. He also teaches workshops in Qigong and in Taiji, and he has been involved in the alternative healing industry since 1985. He is the author of this fabulous book, Chinese Healing Exercises, a personalized practice for health and longevity. And I've read this book and it is fabulous. And we're going to talk today about how these exercises that are illustrated and explained in his book reduce pain and enhance your well-being with simple exercises. So welcome, Stephen.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
for
Suzette.
being with us today.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me here today.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about what the viewer can get from reading your book?
Yes, I wrote this book because I wanted to give people things that were simple and effective, easy to do, and something that could actually be learned from a book. There are a lot of books about various Chinese practices, Taiji and Qigong, that are kind of difficult for people to actually learn from a book, and they're best learned one-on-one with a teacher or in a class setting. Here, I particularly selected exercises that are simple and people can learn them directly from a book. I've been teaching Taiji and Qigong, as you said, for a few decades, and what I've found is that over the last, less than 10 years, like six to 8 years, although more and more people really want alternative ways of taking care of themselves, people seem to have less and less time available to devote to the practice of Taiji or Qigong or anything similar like that. So in order to accommodate people's restricted schedules and time constraints and other obligations, I selected all of these exercises, which most come from warm-ups for Taiji, warm-ups for Qigong. Some are actually specifically just medical practices that you can learn to do for yourself as well. Some come from slightly more obscure practices called like Pai Gong, which is a tapping and padding technique to break up Qi stagnation. So I selected things that I thought people could learn very simply and quickly. And as the subtitle of the book is, it's a personalized practice for health and longevity. So it's not a very lengthy system that you have to learn. You're actually able to kind of cherry pick the exercises that work best to address your personal health needs. And there's guidance given in the book as to how to do that for you.
You know, I really enjoyed the way that your book is structured, and I'm going to show the viewers an example. I don't know if you can see it that well, but what the exercises are depicted, and they give the purpose of the exercise and then the method and an illustration of how it's done, and the reader, as you say, cherry picks through the exercises for things that that are specific to something that you want to remedy or to regain functionality of.
Exactly.
And just for the ease of the viewer, lots of times in Chinese medicine, the term Qi is used, which is another word for energy. And you want the energy to run and flow smoothly through your body. Now, Qigong. Could you just give a quick definition of what that is? I think many people are familiar with Tai Chi, but less so with Qigong.
Sure. Well, like you said, Qi, the simplest translation for the word Qi is energy. Slightly more comprehensive translation would be your vital life force, the energy that animates you, that gives you functionality. Gong by itself is a word that simply translates as practice or cultivation or work. So when you put the two syllables together, because in the Chinese language, every syllable, every discrete syllable is its own word, but when you link them together, the meanings can change subtly. So Qigong is working with the energy of your life, with your vital life energy, over a period of time, because that time is also implicit in the word Gong, to achieve a desired or specific result. And in Qigong, the desired and specific result is to increase your ability to sense, to acquire more, and direct the Qi in your body to do the things that you need to do to, first of all, improve your health, then maintain your health at a high level, and then, if you're so motivated, to optimize your health beyond maintenance levels.
Well, you know, we're very fortunate to have Stephen Cardozo with us, who is a doctor of Chinese medicine. And, you know, from your book, let's take an example. Maybe you could show the audience a couple of exercises. You mentioned earlier that many people suffer from, say, arthritis, or, you know, a stiffening of their hands or joints. Can you give an example of an exercise from your book that would really help them regain functionality and reduce pain?
Sure. I'm going to show you 3 quick ones because they're all interrelated. These are good for both arthritis or any type of repetitive stress injury in your hands. One, very simply, is to make a loose fist and then open your fingers up as far as you can. So you want to get that bend backwards here too. And you want to do that in rapid succession. Typically, I teach people to do this with their arms hanging at their sides, but that might be off camera. So for you to see it, this is what it's going to look like. Just this. It's very, very simple, but it gets more blood moving through all the muscles of your fingers, all the muscles in your hands and in your forearms. And there's a saying in Chinese medicine that the Qi is the commander of the blood, which means Qi makes your blood move. And that the blood is the mother of the Qi, which means that in order for there to be Qi present in any place in your body, you need a material substrate, which is the blood, for Qi to grow out of. So by getting more blood into your hands, you're automatically getting more Qi into your hands and increasing the functionality there. So then the second thing I'd have people do beyond this point is maybe to work with just your left hand for now. You would grab this edge of your left hand with your right hand, have your thumb run across. We're going to do little finger, then we're going to do ring finger, then we're going to do the middle finger, and then the index finger, and finally the thumb. And that'll look like this. So you're going to grab here with your thumb starting in the middle of your palm, and you're going to guide your elbow into moving up in a semicircle like this, while you're holding this part of your hand stabilized with this. So this hand's going to move through. My left hand's moving through my right hand, and my little finger's bending backwards because my elbow is curving up this way. And I'm keeping my armpit open. This opens up all the joint spaces in my little finger, and I'm moving to my ring finger. Typically, you do this 3 times on each finger, but you can do more. There's no limit to how much you can do, but 3 is usually enough. So now I'm on my middle finger. This opens up the joint spaces and brings more blood into the finger. What a lot of people who are focused on Qi practices may not realize is that, or may not take into account, even if they realize it, is that your physical body and your Qi are part of a complete continuum. So you can't really separate out, now I'm just working on my Qi, now I'm just working on my body. They have to be unified as part of the same thing. Now, the last thing, and we can talk while we do this too, the last exercise is going to be for the wrists, which a lot of people, if they type a lot or do any other type of thing, you can get carpal tunnel syndrome, you can get various types of tendonitis, and this also will help open up your hands very nicely for any of those conditions. So you just interlock your fingers and make, imagine you have a little ball that you're holding between the palms of your hands. You keep your elbows down, you keep your shoulders relaxed, and what you want to do is rotate your hands around that imaginary ball in the center of the palms of your hands. And you can see you get a very, very nice complete range of motion in both wrists. And over time, your wrists are going to get softer, more supple, more flexible, and if there is any inflammation or tendonitis or anything along those lines, it's going to reduce the inflammation and increase functionality, increase your range of motion, and make your wrists and hands feel a whole lot better than before you started these things.
That is fantastic. And not only do you have exercises for stiff joints or functionality of the limbs, but I noticed that you also had exercises to strengthen a person's eyes.
Yes.
And could that actually improve their vision?
Yes, just like most people, I think, understand that you can improve your vision with acupuncture. So with acupressure, on specific acupuncture points that are delineated in the book, you can give yourself an acupressure treatment which stimulates qi flow to all parts of your eye to improve eye functionality in a similar way, probably a little less intense, a little less focused than acupuncture would do. There's more things you would take into account in an acupuncture treatment than you would with acupressure, but it's something you can do for yourself every day. And you're
Is it a matter of eye movements or touching certain points around your eyes?
Both. Good question, because there's eye movement exercises, which also bring more qi and blood into your eyes, because when you are manually moving your eyes, you're using muscles to move your eyes. And just like in the exercises I showed with your hands, that when you use your muscles, more blood goes to the muscles, more qi goes to the muscles, and anything that needs healing is going to be healed because there's more qi and blood in those areas. Then you do acupressure to stimulate qi flow at deeper levels and stimulate particular acupuncture points that work deep inside the eye, that work behind the eye to help regenerate the optic nerve if there's any problems there. So it's pretty wide range of things that are possible.
So it's complementary. You have exercises that you can do from this book, and you can also have acupuncture done to take it into a deeper level of healing. Now, can I ask you, how old are you?
I'm 63.
Well, and do you wear glasses?
Very, very rarely. I'm getting to the point once in a while I need reading glasses, but I've been working on improving my vision over the last 6 months, and I hardly ever use them at all now.
Well, I would say here's a man who's walking the talk. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to find out more about Stephen Cardozo's book, Chinese Healing Exercises. So stay tuned, everybody. And we're back with Dr. Stephen Cardozo, a doctor of Chinese medicine, who is the author of Chinese Healing Exercises, a personalized practice for health and longevity. And where we last left off, you were talking about exercises that improve eyesight, and that you yourself rarely have to put on a pair of glasses at the age of 63. I'm 61, that's not so old. But you know, one thing, another added benefit is you were talking about those eye exercises actually help rejuvenate the area in the face. And I think that a lot of people are interested in the anti-aging effects. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, anytime that you increase your stores of qi, you are in fact slowing down the aging process. And some of that can manifest in your skin, whether you're talking about facial skin or arm skin, also manifests on head hair, body hair, those types of things. So when we do the eye exercises, for example, and we do, say, acupressure to points here, 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 here. In the book, it'll show you exactly where to access these points. You're going to be bringing more qi and more blood into those regions of your face. And so what a lot of people find is, in addition to improving their vision, a lot of the fine wrinkles that people tend to get around their eyes as they get older tend to diminish. And of course, you know, if you're using any Western methods to help your appearance, it's completely fine. It's compatible. There's no contraindication. So you can blend a lot of different ways to make yourself look and feel and act and healthier, younger, all of those things.
Well, this is really fascinating. And even as I watch you speak, folks, he has no crow's feet. Very good. Now, one of the other things, before we move on to your process of writing, I know that a lot of people suffer from sinus problems or allergies. Could you maybe share a quick exercise that could alleviate that condition?
Sure. And even before I do this, I just want to point out, if you look for my book on Amazon, and I'm sure Suzette will mention that later in the show, there's a number of reader reviews of the book. There's a very compelling review by a woman who basically cured herself of chronic sinusitis that she wasn't able to deal effectively with through conventional Western medical means, just by using these exercises in the book. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of how that works and what you can do for yourself with this. Just like there are points around the eyes we talked about, there are significant points around the nose. So if we start at just to the sides of the nostrils and go straight in towards your face, you feel little indentation here. These are one pair of acupuncture points that benefit your ability to breathe. They actually are on the large intestine channel, and the lungs and large intestines work together. So your nose clearly goes directly to your lungs. The passageways go directly to your lungs. So you're going to get some energetic benefit there. There's points here, and then if you feel where the cartilage of your nose ends, there's a couple of other points right here. And then if you go to the corners of your eyes, and you want to direct your fingers towards the bridge of your nose, and you'll feel some other indentations here. Most acupuncture points that are on bony areas of your body, which your face and head are quite bony, have little openings in the bones. So you feel indentations where the acupuncture points are, where the acupressure points are. So there's these 6 points, these 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and then 1 right between your eyebrows. And you can do acupressure on those points. So you put as much pressure as you're comfortable. You don't ever want to hurt yourself. And you can circle in both directions. 10 or 12 times in each direction is a good number to start with, and you can do more. After you do that, then there's 2 ways that you can actually do kind of a massage along the sides of your nose, which opens up the nasal passageways in different ways. So one way is if you take the sides of your index fingers and you just touch the skin along the sides of your nose, and you rub your fingers up and down like this. This creates a friction on the skin, so more blood again is brought to the skin, and this will open up a little bit more of the superficial parts of your nasal passages, and it'll stimulate those same points that you just gave yourself an acupressure treatment for. Then if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can make knuckles. You just use your thumb to touch your index finger like this, and this just makes a slightly harder surface here, and you want to have your fingers adhere strongly to your skin this way, and then you go up and down. So now your fingers are not sliding over the surface of the skin, so there's no friction, but you're moving the skin and you're moving the deeper tissues, and with a little bit of practice, you can actually feel the membranes that line your nasal passageways getting moved also. And so that opens up the nasal passageways. It can clear them of accumulated mucus and other things that might impact your breathing. So you get the energetic benefit from the acupressure, the physical benefit from the friction, and the physical benefit from going to those deeper levels inside your nasal passageways and open that up. And a lot of people have had remarkable success at restoring normal breathing just from that simple exercise.
Well, these have been fabulous mini demonstrations, and I think that this book holds a lot of exercises that can benefit many people on a whole variety of things that people suffer from. Now, let me ask you about your writing process and the fact that you're a workshop presenter and teacher. What came first? You being a practitioner and drawing from the experiences of your work and channeling it into this book, or did the research come, or did the desire to write the book come first?
First, in my opinion, for anyone who's writing books on specialized practices, like anything to do with Chinese medicine, any technical writer in any field really, you really first need to have a solid foundation in experience. Otherwise, your intentions might be wonderful, but if you don't have the life experience and the education to draw on, the content's going to be a little weaker than it might otherwise be. So, as an example, I like to bring up when I teach Taiji and Qigong classes and workshops. There's a very well-known writer, Malcolm Gladwell, who you probably are well aware of. He used to be a New York Times science writer, and then he's written a lot of science books for lay people. He, in one of his books called Outliers, he talks about something that's colloquially called the 10,000 hour rule. And what all of the scientists who he has interviewed basically have said, all the researchers in various fields have said, is that in order to achieve mastery in any cognitively complex topic, you need to expect to devote 10,000 hours of time into cultivating that ability. 10,000 hours of time roughly corresponds to, I think, 20 hours a week for 7 years, 10 years, something like that. I forget the numbers now, but a lot of time. So one doesn't need to be a master in order to get benefits from any of these practices, but you want to be approaching that level, especially if you want to be an educator or someone who writes about something like these things. So
did this book come about because of your workshops and your teaching?
The book came about because, as I said earlier, in my workshops, in my classes, I found that people weren't having the time to devote anymore to coming. Because for workshops, ideally, I like to teach a full weekend workshop. And that means 8 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday, maybe Friday night preamble, and that gets your toe in the water. My main Qigong teacher, BK Francis, I'll give him a little nod. He teaches primarily weeks-long workshops where you go for 1 to 4 weeks at a time, and all you do is practice these things, practice one discipline for that amount of time to be able to get good at it. Now, what he's found is also over the course of the years, there's been fewer and fewer people attending the workshops in the United States. He almost exclusively teaches in Europe now because people will put in, or they'll move towards putting in those 10,000 hours in order to achieve mastery because they just, for whatever reason, are more inclined to do that.
So this is the accelerated master's course.
Well, this is to simplify things.
Exactly,
this is to help people get benefits without having to invest all that time.
You know, I like the format of your book because it very quickly summarizes what is this, what's it going to do for me, the purpose of the exercise, how is it done, here's the method, illustration. And it is very easy to follow.
Great.
How did you come up with this format?
I think I just sat and thought about it for quite a while because what I've written a couple of other books, I'm working on some right now too, and what I do as part of my writing process is I try to imagine what the finished book will look like, and if I were a reader of this book, what would I want to get from it? Mm-hmm. So for me, having something laid out very logically, very clearly, very step by step, and something that builds cumulatively within the context of each little simple exercise, that to me made the most sense. And that's what I'd want for myself if I was reading a book like this. And that's what made me decide to write in that format for this book.
I like how logical and practical it is. It's really easy. And for time challenged people or attention challenged people, which sometimes I consider myself to be, it's really a wonderful resource. Now, you teach workshops. Are you going to be giving anything in the area? We're in Milton, but are there any nearby places? Because I know that you live in Arlington.
Right. I'm going to be teaching a workshop on October 9th at Brookline Taiji in Brookline. That'll only be a 4-hour workshop, so I don't want anyone to be concerned I'm going to be roping you in for a full weekend, but just a 4-hour workshop, so very, very short commitment of time. It'll be going through a lot, but of course not all of the exercises in this book. That's the next thing I have scheduled.
What is the name of that workshop, by the way?
It'll be Chinese healing exercises.
Okay.
And there'll probably be some subtitle because it will be the second Chinese healing exercises workshop that I taught at Brookline Taiji.
I see.
So.
And what is your website, or how can people get a hold of you?
My website is Compassionate Arts, and there's a hyphen between the two words, so www.compassionate-arts.com. There's an email address you can just click on if you want to contact me with any questions or concerns. And you can also ask to be put on my class email list, and that's the best and most direct way for you to be informed about what classes and workshops I have upcoming. I have to confess, the website itself is a little bit out of date. I haven't done anything to update it in a while, so the class information on there is horribly out of date, but you can contact me to get the most up-to-date information. Just has to be put on my email list.
Okay, so the most important piece of information on compassionate-arts.com
is
to get your email and to get on your subscriber list, and then everyone can get an updated list of where they can find you and what you're up to.
Exactly.
Now, we only have about a minute or a few seconds left, so can you just quickly tell us what your next writing project is going to be?
The next book I'm working on right now, I have a November deadline from my publisher, Llewellyn Publications, so hopefully it'll be done by November 2015. It's called Integrated Natural Healing, and the first half of the book gives the reader a very detailed overview of all the components of Chinese medicine. The second half of the book gives the reader instructions on how they can implement all of the aspects of Chinese medicine in very simple yet integrated ways. So there'll be a section on acupressure as a stand-in for acupuncture. There'll be a section on Chinese herbal folk remedies and some common Chinese other herbal remedies as a stand-in for Chinese herbal medicine, which is a very disciplined way. And there'll be a few simple Qigong practices in there as well. And in that book, the reader will be taught how to combine acupressure and herbs and these simple Qigongs in a unified way to address their particular health needs, taking you substantially beyond what this book has to offer, as much as this book is a great place to start.
Well, it has been great to have you on our show. And I want to thank Stephen Cardozo, doctor of Chinese medicine and the author of Chinese Healing Exercises. Very quickly, do you perform acupuncture on people also?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to thank you again for being here today, and look him up and talk to him about whatever it is you may need in that realm of remedy. So until next time, this is Suzette Standring from It's All Right with Suzette.